I know I've done you wrong, little darling. I've run around with everything in town. If you'll just tell me you'll forgive me, I'll make it up if it takes a...
Welcome back to pre-step number 4 in our general recovery program curriculum for people that want to get better. Previously, in our substance, we've talked about the need for a structured environment. Then, I told you a little bit about long-term goals and why they're important. That it's very important that you have long-term goals other than staying clean or staying sober or staying away from your toxic relationships. Now then, after that, we talked about exercise. Get your fat ass out there and do something. Move around. Get healthy. It carries its own sort of natural high. Your body will love it and appreciate it. It will definitely work towards your strength of will. It'll definitely work towards your discipline. But exercise. Structure some exercise. Have that as a goal. Work it short term, medium term, whatever. Because now, after you've structured your environment, after you've set your long-term goals, after you've exercised a bit, get your ass out there and get a job. Be useful. Get a job. And if you don't already have a job, get one. Most of us don't show up with a job, though. And even if you don't need to work for financial reasons, because some people are rich, some people are welfare, maybe it's Maybelline, maybe it's methamphetamines, who knows. Holding down a steady job is one of the best ways to add structure in your life. To keep a schedule, you feel productive, you get a reward, you get paid, and having a job is the best way to guard against the stress that can come with having financial difficulties. Period. Now then, having said the get a job thing, most of my life I have been either an executive or an administrator. It's just the way the ball bounces. I can't believe it myself either. My stepfather drove a truck, very blue collar, worked heavy equipment, knew how to fix things. I don't. The gentleman I call my brother, Mr. John Collins, guaranteed works hard every day. Truck driver, mechanic, doing things with his hands. I never did those things. I never learned them, but I had a job. But see, the thing is I had the kind of job and stumbled into it that most people off the rip want to have. So as we look at this getting a job thing, number one, it's not realistic to think that when you're coming off of a JAG, people are going to pay you big money to be an executive or a business owner, or you're going to start this business, or you have all these pipe dreams. The best thing that you can do, in my experience, is to work a physical job that you actually don't think you can do or don't like to do, and stick with it until something better comes along. Because number one, everything passes in time. Number two, by doing this, you prove to yourself that you are indeed the badass that you think you are. All the shit that you talk on a regular basis about you're all this, that, and the other. Well, literally, you'll get money if you put your ass where your mouth is. I had to go to work at a plastics factory when I first went to Sober Living America, after a little dispute that had more to do with I'll show you than a relapse. But I worked at a plastic factory for 8 hours at night, third shift. I was on my feet trimming little pieces of plastic. I had never done anything like that in my life. The very first night I was there, I like to have burnt the place down by sticking way too much plastic waste in the grinder. It got caught the machine on fire. It was ugly. But I learned, and I wouldn't give up. I would not let that whip me. By the same token, I remember whenever I moved up and was working as an acting director, I had a gentleman come through and Marietta that had never worked physical labor in his life. And this guy come out of the box factory and he was about to die. I found something else for him to do because he was willing, but it was unhealthy and unrealistic for him to go forward. And so we made some allowances for him. Now, as an aside, when you go into a program, sometimes the work development people or the people responsible for getting you a job can really set you up to fail. So use some common sense. A lot of places that when you go into for recovery or you have to get a new job starting out is going to be construction jobs. It's going to be labor jobs. It's going to be in a poultry plant if you're in Northeast Georgia, or a scrapyard. It's going to be hard physical work, but don't give up. Get the job. If you're as good as you say you are, the people in charge will notice or something will come up in your line of work. But to stay home without a job, again, boredom starts to creep over you. Boredom is the devil's playground. Next thing you know, your buddy shows up. Hey, let's go do this. And before you know it, you're jumping out a window with no clothes on, drunk. Somebody's chasing you with a gun. God willing, and the creek don't rise, you can get home before the police pick you up for running naked down the street. It's stay busy, but expect when you first come off that jag, when you first are making the change in your life, you're not going to have a pleasant time of it. Or if you're normally in the construction business and you're one of the craftsmen that I see on a regular basis, expect to not be paid what you're worth. Again, this is a recurring theme. Do not let your desire for money or the need you feel to have money in your pocket motivate you at this early time, because the money will come and the money will go. You'll be able to pay your bills. Now then, with regards to jobs, here's your assignment for today. Look at the kind of work that you normally would do. I was an office worker. I was an executive, stuff like that. I took a job on purpose that required me to be a factory worker. As a matter of fact, during the COVID pandemic, I took a job as a factory worker in the place that made disinfectant. I resigned my position as a director at Sober Living America and went to work because I wanted to be where there wouldn't be no pandemic. And I guess the disinfectant factory was the best place, but I knew I could do it. But my feet hurt. I cussed all the time, but I did it. And I got paid. Didn't get paid what I was used to getting paid, but I got paid enough. So let's recap real quick. You want a structured environment. You want to have some long-term goals. You want to exercise and get a fucking job. And if you've got to cut your hair, or if you've got to wear something other than the wife beater that you normally would wear with the pair of jeans you got, you got to get some khakis and a button up, be cool with that. Because remember, you're trying to change, because you don't actually want to go back to your old life, because your old life sucks. You want a new life. And as you build your self-esteem, as you build the confidence in yourself, as you build these relationships, you see that you are worthy of a better, different life. If you go back to the life you had before, clean, sober, and non-toxic, and you get around the people that you were around before, whether it's the same person, or it's the same personality in a different body, but doing the same things, you're going to end up right back where you were. And that's not what you want to do. So look in your classified ads, find yourself a job that's entry level, that's not in your normal bailiwick, not in your normal wheelhouse. If you can't do that, be okay with not making as much, but be busy. Personally, I've been the milkman entirely too much in my earlier life to ever let, if I'm in a relationship with someone, I don't care if we're rich as Croesus, my wife will have a job, even if it's volunteering, because I know what happens when you stay home all day. I used to be what happens when you stay home all day, and that's not cool at all. I got in a lot of trouble staying home all day. And it doesn't matter what shift you work or anything like that if you're a night person, except the fact that you're a night person. But look up in the classified ads, find 3 jobs that you normally wouldn't do, and call them up, put in an application, and see what happens. Fast food is good. McDonald's actually will give you health insurance off the rip. It's not the best, but it's pretty good. A lot of jobs that seem like they're crap are actually good for the soul. And with that one, we're going to close out here. It went over a little bit again, but we got one last factor in the 5 factors that's pre-step to look at, and that'll be the next episode. Please tune in. Please comment. Again, this is the first draft. I'm going to refine this thing in public, in plain view of everybody. We're going to tighten it up. The main message is pre-steps, pre-anything else, get you a structured environment. Set some long-term goals that are not just sobriety related. Exercise. Get a job. And then we'll talk about balance in our next little episode. Thank you very much. I'm Dr. Joey. This is my old-timey mental sciencey medicine show. And I hope you get something out of it. This is a generalized recovery curriculum.